Hey folks, Cornell with YouTube Fishing Vids. I think it's about time that I lock into one of these Florida bullseye snakeheads out here on the golf course ponds of my parents' retirement community. I've got a baby frog, a little 1/4 ounce live target on 15-pound test braid and a spinning outfit. I've actually locked into a couple. I've actually hooked up on SENKOs. They've chewed through my line and broke me off. I've actually had a couple snakeheads eat a vibrating jig and not get hooked up. So they're being a little finicky. I've thrown bigger frogs to them and nothing. They haven't come up to eat. But now this baby frog is a little morsel, and these little mouths on these snakeheads should be able to get it in their mouth, and hopefully I'll lock in. But this is a great spot, just being able to cast across to some vegetation. I'm in the zone right here. This is where I should be. So let's see if I can pull off a snakehead and anything else that wants to bite a baby frog, and then move on to who knows what else, because these ponds are loaded with all kinds of stuff. Nothing directly across from me for the first efforts. I had one little bite, but nothing significant. But I'm gonna go parallel to the shore here before I walk down this direction and spook every snakehead that's right at my feet. I'm gonna go ahead and cover it this way, because I can't tell you how many snakeheads I've seen just walking along the bank and having them spook right out from underneath me. So this is a good way to cover the edges before I make my trek down the bank. All right, so before I leave this area where I did not get a bite on the frog, I'm gonna do something completely different. Never have I thrown this on my YouTube channel. I haven't thrown it much at all. The little tiny child rig. The tiny child rig with a TRD finesse little Ned bait, and I got myself a little VMC 1/8 ounce. I probably should go down to the 16th, but that's a really great setup. Little number 2, a number 2 mustad grip pin hook. This thing is money. I got that little weight totally glued in there completely, so it ain't going anywhere. And that is the perfect setup. It's a great option to compete with the actual SENKO that I've been throwing in here. And it's gonna sink down a little bit deeper and a little quicker, and I'll be able to fish basically like a Ned rig, but very weedless. So I'm gonna throw that in here and get the first fish on the very first cast. Unbelievable, guys. First time I've ever thrown the little tiny child rig in here. And you saw it as it happened. There it is. It's a tiny dink, but isn't that something? That's a beast of a little bait. Finessey as it could be, but still gets it done. I mean, he is hooked perfectly right in the mouth. That little tiny hook did it up. Man, that's awesome. Okay, so that's the deal. I'm gonna sit here and work these edges until I catch every fish I can catch, and then move on down the bank and see if that frog gets some attention. Super easy rig, guys. Just slide it right back in. It's good to go. Make it just a little Texas rig deal. That's the tiny child rig, guys. Again, this is an 1/8 ounce number 2 mustad grip pin, and I actually have this on 10-pound test. I ain't messing around in these ponds, guys. There's some big fish. I don't need to go finessing in here. They're gonna eat the heck out of this thing, as you just saw. So let's throw it back in there and see if cast number 2 finds one. Oh, there's another bite right off the bat. Insane. Caught the biggest fish of the trip last night on a Ned rig on a seawall. It's really dark, but it was a giant. And yeah, the Ned rig gets it done everywhere, that's for sure. Man, this thing is unbelievably weedless. I feel it ticking through the grass and coming through clean. It's unbelievable. Even the muck, the snot grass that's down there, which gets hung up on. Oh, there's a fish right there on the edge again. Another one, back-to-back casts. What I was saying is that a shaky head, even the Ned rig, anything with a heavier weighted head like that, just collects all the snot grass, and it's just a wreck to try and fish. This thing's coming through it like nothing. There's a back-to-back dink on this tiny child rig, and they call it the tiny child rig. If you're just not familiar with it, I know a lot of you are, but the tiny child rig is called the tiny child rig because a tiny little child could fish it. It's a great rig to just have a kid throw out, put it out there, ultra weedless, just let them drag it around and everything will eat it, just like a Ned rig, you know, from crappie to all the panfish. Everything loves a Ned rig, but here is your Ned rig option, extremely weedless. And so let's get number 3 fish here in a second, I'm sure. Oh, there he is, guys. That was definitely a snakehead. I heard it, I saw it, and he missed it, completely missed it. So that's okay. I gave it a second, but he didn't have any of it in his mouth. Let's see if he comes back and gets it. That's exactly what I was hoping to see happen. That's what I'm getting at with the bigger frogs and things like that. They just weren't getting it. And man, so much vegetation, so much going on right here. I mean, again, see that? He didn't come back and get it even the second time. He tried once at least. I'll keep throwing to him and see what happens. Tiny child rig, first cast, guys. Insane, absolutely insane, and it's not a dink. It's not a dink for sure. It's a good one. It's a real good one. Unreal. So I got my snakehead bite right here. Missed him, but I got to have some fun. Oh, he's so well hooked, and bringing a really nice bass on the tiny child rig. So there's the third one, first cast, right back to the little finesse game. And man, is he hooked well. That little hook got him perfectly. All right, so we know what to do. The 1-2 punch is great. We can have some fun on top, hopefully for a minute or two, and then get back down and get it done. All right, cast number 2 in this spot. Now let's see what happens. There he is. Second cast. This one's a dink, but still, it's just showing how easy and fun, and how multi-species, just like a Ned rig, the tiny child rig is the same routine. So that's what, 3 bass, a beautiful Florida golf course pond bluegill, eating the tiny child rig, and a blow up. A blow up on what was almost 100% guaranteed a snakehead. All right, bluegill going back. There he is. Man, it's either right at my feet or it's on the other side. Oh, it's another nice one, guys. It seems like they're right at my feet, at least these little bit bigger ones. That's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. That's a third cast. 3 casts in a row on this tiny child rig, buttoned right in the nose. Killer. All 3 sizes going on right here. Small, medium, and large. Let's try and get extra large now. All right, I made another move, just 20 to 30 yards, and I'm talking, I might only be fishing 80, 100 yards of bank this morning. I got to get back to the family and get some breakfast. This is just a short run and a quick fun video with the effort to lock in to one of those snakehead. And obviously, there he is. First cast, and I had one swirling on it, but obviously we got some bass to play with too. So got a first cast. I can't believe I got a nice swirl. Let's see if I can go back and get him. All right, I got the one swirl, but that's it. It's time to go back down with the soft plastic. So it's always exciting to pick up this thing, because any bit of fresh water is gonna hold some fish. There's no doubt, and I'm 100% convinced that I'm gonna get something. Question is it gonna be on this first cast? Let's find out. Do this in time with you guys. You ready? Here we go, fresh water. And there he is. Oh, it's a nice one too, guys. It's a nice one. And not a huge one. It felt bigger, but that's what I'm getting at. Every time I get to a new edge and drop this tiny child rig down, it's insane, absolutely insane, guys, how this thing works. So if I'm not gonna get the snakeheads again, at least I'm gonna get the bass. Just a simple Texas rig, guys. Again, that grip pin's amazing because that grip pin holds on to that bait. This elastic doesn't do anything when it comes to tearing. Let's line it up. I'm gonna go come straight through this perpendicular like so. I actually bent that hook in just a hair so I can do the perfect expose like that, and that way it's just completely weedless. I think this thing's getting more bites than the SENKO. I mean, I've been out here with the SENKO and it's just every time I hit the edge, it's bang, but this Ned rig, I should say weedless tiny child rig, it's insane. I've never fished it before. I've truly never fished the tiny child rig, maybe one time up in the mountains of Maryland doing some shoreline fishing just to test it out, but I didn't have it rigged like this. I had it rigged with a nail weight that went up almost halfway into that little TRD, and it actually made it fall over. What this is doing with that weight all centralized in the very, very bottom is that it's letting that TRD that floats do what it does, which is float. So that's the big deal, is that when you're setting up this tiny child rig, most of the weight needs to be right at the bottom. Nail weights, from what I could tell, if they're real long, they're just not going to work. If you get that little tungsten deal, they're real short and stumpy and heavy. Yeah, that could probably work too. But these little rounded bottom VMC nail weight type deals are money. They're working perfect. All right, I've made the next move. It's hopefully snakehead time. Let's find out. All right, no snakeheads there, guys. I'm gonna have to reach down here and get my little weapon of choice. So let's see if we can make this happen. Again, usually the first cast in the new spot is money. It's always fun, guys. It's absolutely a blast. So here's the deal. This is it. This is the end of the road. I've been fishing for 40 minutes, maybe 40 minutes total. And to get all that action in there, it is again, the first cast. It's at like that almost every time. I think it's a nice one too, guys. Just absolutely insane. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this the sign out fish. I knew I'd probably land at least one here on the first cast, and it's a really good one if I can get them out of the grass and show them to you. That's how it goes out here in these golf course ponds, guys. I gotta get back and get some breakfast. The tiny child rig was a saving grace when the snakeheads didn't come out to play. So folks, as always, I appreciate you joining me. As always, I appreciate you subscribing. Until we meet again, over and out.